Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for welcoming me with such applause. It is good to be back in Newtown. I was here some time ago on the platform, and I think the crowd then was just as good and just as welcoming, and so I'm very happy to be here. Coming from Nevis, I always feel comfortable in Newtown because I know a lot of Nevisians settled here in years gone by, and so in a way, I suppose I have come home. And so I'm very happy to be here. Of course, the purpose of these town hall meetings is to try to engage in a conversation with you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and to update you in terms of what we are doing as your unity government. 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago, you all made a monumental decision, and you entrusted the future of this country to the Team Unity administration. It is my hope that we have served you well. It is my hope that we will continue to serve you well. And it is my hope and fervent desire that when the time comes, you will again invest your confidence in Team Unity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have been given by the Prime Minister the portfolios of foreign affairs and aviation. And I know sometimes we are criticized because the members of the public don't always see what we're doing in foreign affairs. A lot of times they say, oh, Mark Brantley gone on a plane again. Yes, I hear the criticisms, but I should tell you that we have been working very hard. We have a very dedicated team. And tonight I want to take an opportunity just to give you a snapshot of what we have been doing. The mandate that we had from the Cabinet for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was to expand the diplomatic footprint of St. Kitts and Nevis. And what that means, simply put, is that we need to get out and we need to engage more with the rest of the world. The world is changing. It is no longer waiting on you. You need to go out. You need to go out and demand attention. You need to go out and engage with other countries. Countries that have similar interests. And sometimes, even if all of your interests don't coincide, you still have to engage with countries in multilateral forums throughout the world, whether it's United Nations or the IMF or the World Bank, you name it. We are, as a country, entitled to engage and need to engage. And so, carrying out that mandate, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been hard at work in the last 2 years. In terms of diplomatic relations, that is, engaging formally with other countries and establishing diplomatic relations with them, I'm very proud to tell you that in the last 2 years, the nation of St. Kitts and Nevis has established diplomatic relations with Belarus, Bolivia, Croatia, Cyprus, the Dominican Republic, Kenya, Kosovo, Maldives, Mauritius, Mongolia, the Gambia, Saudi Arabia, and Senegal. So in the last 2 years, we've established diplomatic relations with 13 new countries. Somebody asked about Russia. We already have diplomatic relations with Russia. Now, in relation to the second plank of what we have been doing, and that second plank is really trying to make it easier for you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, to travel the globe. That when you present your passport which says St. Kitts and Nevis, there should be no impediments to you traveling. And so we have embarked on a journey of negotiating what we call reciprocal visa waiver arrangements with various countries. And all that means is that we allow them to come to us without a visa, and they allow us to go to them without a visa. Now, I want you to understand that this has particular value, because passports and how passports are treated, they are ranked. And one of the indicators of your ranking is how many countries you can visit without a visa. What that tells the world is the number of countries that have confidence in our country and confidence in the citizenry of our country, that we are law-abiding, and that when we visit their countries, we are there legitimately for holiday, and we are not coming to engage in any wrongdoing, or as we like to say colloquially, we not come to runway in nobody's country. So once it is that they are satisfied, they extend that courtesy to us, and we do the same to them. And our passport, as a result, I'm very proud to say, we were at one point third in the region in terms of ranking. We were third because we were fourth, forgive me, because the Bahamas, Barbados, and Antigua and Barbuda were ahead of us. I can now say confidently that with the effort that we have put in the last 2 years, we have now leapfrogged over Antigua, and very, very soon I expect that St. Kitts and Nevis will have the strongest and most popular passport in the entire Caribbean region. Just so that you are aware that in the last 2 years, you, the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, have been now able to travel to Kosovo, to Brazil, to Ukraine, to Maldives, Indonesia, Seychelles, and Bolivia without a visa. You will no doubt hear in the news, because we expect very shortly to also to be able to travel to Paraguay, Rwanda, Ethiopia, the United Arab Emirates, or as some like to say, Dubai, Kuwait, and Brunei. And those are countries that we expect to conclude our arrangements with very shortly. And we feel that once that is done, St. Kitts and Nevis will certainly have the most powerful passport in the entire region. Ladies and gentlemen, I recognize the time is short, and so I shall try to do my best to get through the limited information that I have to share this evening. What I will say is that you would have been aware that St. Kitts and Nevis, through no fault of our own, we were blacklisted by 10 countries within the European Union. And as a consequence of that, we moved on to what was called an EU, European Union blacklist. We have been fighting and engaging, and the dialogue has been quite intense to seek to get us delisted. And I'm very proud this evening to report to the nation that 3 of those countries, Estonia, Italy, and Greece, have agreed to remove us from their blacklist. I am also to report that as we expand that diplomatic footprint, your unity government has seen it fit to establish consulates recently in Bermuda and in Vietnam. And we will continue. We have the Philippines and others that we are looking at in order to ensure that if, by some chance, you as a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis end up in any of these places, that you have a consulate there to take care of your needs. If I can move on very quickly, I want also to say, and I'm very proud of this, and when I go to any international forums, and we go to some, I am very proud to report to you that St. Kitts and Nevis, as I stand here tonight, has met all, not some, all of its quota commitments to the OECS, to CARICOM, to the United Nations, to the Organization of American States, to the Commonwealth, to ICAO, to the ACP. Now, some of you may ask, what is he talking about? When you're a member of these international organizations, you have certain assessments, you have certain dues. You know, when you're a member of PLP, the Prime Minister says you have to pay dues. CCM, we don't pay. But PLP, I hear they have to pay. Now, you have to pay when you're a member of these organizations. And many countries, including, sadly, some of us in the Caribbean, are not paying. And as a result of that, they put them on a list of countries that, if you will, are not regarded in the same way. St. Kitts and Nevis, the smallest country in the region, is up to date and current with all of its obligations. Before I leave foreign affairs, I want to say one last thing. Much of what we do is quiet diplomacy. And it is not a bad thing when you're not hearing much coming out of foreign affairs. I say that to say this. We have moved past the days when the media was replete with stories about confusion between St. Kitts and Nevis and other countries. We have engaged the Americans, we have engaged the Canadians, we have engaged the United Kingdom and the European Union, and where there have been differences, we have resolved them sensibly, in a mature way. sensibly in a mature way. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how diplomacy ought to function. You have not heard any member of this government going into the parliament to curse and abuse any country. Instead, we have engaged them in a sensible and mature manner, and I believe that that has worked well for us. And we as a country, I believe, have restored that respect, that trust, and that partnership that we have hitherto enjoyed with countries the world over. And so if you don't hear too much noise, don't think it's a bad thing. It's a very good thing, because it says that we are now doing what we ought to have been doing. And perhaps had we been doing that, you and I would no longer need a visa to go to Canada. And I keep saying so, and I will continue to say so, that it was a failure of diplomacy why we ended up needing a visa to go to Canada. And while some tried to persuade you that it was a good thing, it is not a good thing. It is not a good thing. And all the members of this government are aware of the number of nationals who have come to say they have loved ones who have died, they have celebrations happening in Canada, but they cannot get the visa. And so while some sought to persuade us that requiring a visa was a good thing, you and I know that that is not a good thing for our country. And so we continue to engage with the Canadians. I like to be very open when I speak at these forums with you, the public, and to say to you that our negotiations and our discussions, in my view, with Canada were going well. But well, let's say in cricket terms, we got a bit of a googly, because the Prime Minister of Canada in the last few weeks decided to reshuffle his cabinet. And the two people that were most important to us, Stefan Dion, the Foreign Minister, is no longer Foreign Minister. He has gone, I believe, to be the ambassador to the European Union. And then the other gentleman, Mr. McCollum, whom the Prime Minister and I met with in Ottawa, he was the man in charge of immigration, and we were working well with him. He too has been removed and has gone to China to be the ambassador to China. So I say all that to say that we have new people in place, and so we must go at the appropriate time to meet and to engage the new leaders of those ministries to move this process forward. Let me shift quickly to aviation, and to say that in aviation, our job is to keep the airport functioning, keep the airlines coming, ensure that we adhere to all safety standards. And I'm very proud to say that with a very small team, we have thus far achieved that. We are also, of course, in charge of dealing with new airlines coming in and the requirements for that. And we were able in the last 2 years to facilitate code share arrangements between Delta and Virgin Atlantic, between Delta and Seabourn, and between American Airlines and Seabourn. And all of those matters are dealt with by us in Ministry of Aviation. Again, very quietly, because all of you buy your tickets, you get on a plane, you don't think about it. But we are constantly having to deal with the various agencies that come in to do checks and to ensure that our safety standards are up to par. And thank God, we have satisfied all requirements thus far, and will continue to work to ensure that RLB and Vance Amri in Nevis, that both airports are up to par and can receive international traffic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm from Nevis. Not Nevis Street, Nevis. And it is important for me to point out that the motivation for the Concerned Citizens Movement and the people of Nevis to invest their confidence in Team Unity and to rally with Timothy Harris, Dr. Timothy Harris, as Prime Minister, was because we, the people of Nevis, felt that we needed a better deal. I believe that the Team Unity mantra is that we wanted a fair share. And so we rallied and we rallied. We came down here. We went in places that perhaps we would not ordinarily go to. It is a long time. You all haven't seen a Nevis politician on a platform in St. Kitts. But we came because we thought it was important to bring the message from that part of our country. And I say our country because too often in the history of St. Kitts and Nevis, there has been, perhaps in some quarters, a view that the people of Nevis did not matter. And so when we engaged, and engaged forcefully to remove that which was, and to ensure that the people now have a government of their choice working for them, the people of Nevis rallied with that cause and rallied with us. And I'm here to tell you that after 2 years, I am satisfied that the people of Nevis, are being well served by the Unity administration. That the people of Nevis are being included. That when we sit in cabinet, the people of Nevis are not an afterthought, but they are treated as equal citizens in this country, entitled to the full fruits of their citizenship. And I see a Nevis man, my good friend, Ambassador Michael Powell, clapping vociferously. So I'm happy to see. You see, the contribution of Nevis and Nevisians is not something new. No. The fact that Mr. Powell could be sitting here tonight, he was at one point an elected member. They say he had the biggest mouth in politics in St. Kitts at the time. My mouth might be a little bigger now. It must be something that runs in Nevis, I don't know. But I say that to say that the people of Nevis have always been willing and ready and able to make that contribution. And under the framework of Team Unity, we now have that opportunity. And so despite what they say, they go on radio and they say how we're spending more time in St. Kitts now than in Nevis. That's all right. I will deal with them in Nevis in due course. I am not too worried about that. But I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that the people of Nevis now feel that we are included. The people of Nevis, for the first time, now feel that they are part and parcel of what is happening in the great state of St. Christopher and Nevis. And for that, if nothing else, I say thank God for Team Unity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you would have heard the roster of events that has been outlined. And you would learn and see and hear from that roster that events are also. That is a new phenomenon. It may sound simple to you. It took the people of Nevis over 30 years to get a state service for independence in Nevis. Over 30 years. It took the people of Nevis over 30 years and a Team Unity government to get the first ambassador from Nevis. Wow. You may look at it and you may say these are simple things, but for our people who have been outside the door for so long, peeping in, I can now tell you that we're not only in, we're in the living room, we're in the bedroom, we're in the kitchen. We are part of the country. And that could only be possible because Team Unity, an idea, was allowed to germinate and flourish, and you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, invested quite heavily in us. And I am here to say today that so long as I am here, so long as I am able to make a contribution, we, the members of Team Unity, shall never disappoint the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you, and may God bless you.